Welcome back, and since we're still early on, let's do something fun again. So I'm already logged in here. So I'm going to come here, which I have my one there that I terminated last time. Refresh, it still shows up. That's okay. I'm going to come in here. They'll disappear pretty quickly. So if you've, I'm doing these, when I say quickly, in an hour or two, they'll actually completely disappear. So the terminated, if you come back the next day, they'll be gone. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to instance and we're going to terminate this one. Terminate, and come back here, we'll see that I was closed and kicked out, which if I try to connect, I can't. Okay, so we're going to come back here. So we've got that terminated again. We're going to launch a new instance. Select, review and launch once it loads. And you know what, my head's in the way. There's a launch button here. There we go. Launch. And yes, I have the key. Launch instance. So I'm doing this the first couple times at least for a couple reasons. Number one, to make sure that you understand it's not a big deal to create a new system. It's just not. It's easy. You have access to it, and we can just delete these old ones, clean them up, get rid of them. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, I expect you're going to destroy a system or two while you're playing. Probably more than two. Especially if you follow through all my videos, because I do some things with the SSH config files, which people often break. People often change the permissions on their home directory or their keys, and they break them. They can't get it anymore. With doing SFTP, people often break the ability to log in. So, and then you just create a new one. Okay. And it doesn't take a lot of time. So even if you're taking my class and it's part of a test, let me come back and grab the IP. So copy. If you take any of my classes, my Linux and system, the tests are very hands-on. You're given tasks, you need to perform them. Okay, so I'm just going to come up and I'm going to delete my IP and put this in here. Once again, if you put your key in the default area, you don't need this at all. All you need is the SSH, the user, which by default it's EC2 user, and then the IP address. Okay, and we hit enter. And we haven't seen this before because it's brand new, or if it rebooted, it has a different IP, and we're in. Cool. Okay. So now let's go ahead and play some. So first thing we're going to do is, if we look print working directory, we can see that we're in our home EC2 user. Let's go to the root again. And then if we pwd, we can see we're in the root. And let's do an ls. Let's do a -l long. Okay. So I want to talk a little bit about this here. So first of all, we can see there's some symbolic links here. We're going to learn about those later in the semester. You can see they're the light blue with the arrows. That means that this is not a real folder. It redirects to this folder. Think of it that way. Okay. So libraries are that way. But I want to talk about a few things. You should have reviewed these last time. It was at the top, kind of what some of these are. But etc's system config files and bin, you've probably seen that quite a bit when we've been doing the which, because that's where a lot of our commands are, or in the other binaries in the bin. Okay, so so if we do which ls, we see that ls is an alias that goes to user bin ls, which bin goes to user bin. Okay, now you notice that they're user bin and not /user bin. So that's just you can set up your symbolic link in different ways. Okay, we can do which, and we can see that it is also an alias which goes to user bin which. Okay, user bin which, and then we can do. Let's just do one or two more. Which cd. So that one's not an alias. We're going to play with aliases later. pwd. Okay. So cool. So we've got a couple there. Now let's introduce another command, whoami. I do this because sometimes you're logging as different accounts that run different systems, and it's good to know who you are. So that's the command, whoami. So we're already at /, so if we do an ls, we can see there, but we can also do a cd tilde and hit enter, and then if you do pwd, you can see we're back at our home directory. So tilde will take us to our home directory. Since we're in our home directory, let's do something. So we can touch this. So remember, touch just creates a file. So now we should have a file called this. If we cd / pwd, we see the word /. Let's touch that. Permission denied. Okay. So we can't do that because we don't have permissions to do that here. So we can switch user and do touch that, which by default does it as root, and that worked. Okay. So now if we do an ls, we can see that right there. Let's remove that. Which it's saying, are you sure you want to? We're going to say yes. Permission denied. Once again, we created it as root. So let's do a sudo. And we're going to do bang bang, which is the exclamation, which says do the last command. Those two things is the last command. So you see when I hit enter, it said sudo rm that. So sudo and the last command was rm that. And it did it. So now if we do ls, it's gone. Okay, cool. So now let's learn another thing. Let's learn about making directories. We've made files, but we haven't made a directory yet. So mkdir. Let's man it first. Man mkdir. Make a directory. And you see there are options here. So like, for example, parents. If you try to create a directory and it's kind of deep and something's missing, it'll create the parents. So there are options here. If we scroll down, see also mkdir2. But let's introduce you to, as well to man rmdir. If we're going to learn how to make something, we have to learn how to unmake it or remove it. So remove empty directories. Okay. And once again, you can do parents as well and get rid of them by default if they're empty. Okay. So let's man a few more things while we're here. Some other things we're going to learn today. Man mv, move or rename files. Okay. And I usually suggest that you look at the name and the description at least, and then sometimes you're going to have to get in with the options, these flags. But usually at least the name and the description gets you started. Okay. So let's also man cp, copy files. Okay. Man rm, remove files or directories. Okay, we've done that one already. And let's do man tree, which this is going to fail, probably. Yep, no manual empty for tree. And if you find out, if we type in tree, it's not found. So let's actually do a yum-y install tree. And this is going to fail because we're not root. So sudo bang bang, and it'll run it. By the way, the -y makes it so we don't have to, it says, are you sure you want to do this? Usually after this. We'll have to do that one of these times and not use the -y. Anyway, so we've installed tree. So now we can man tree. And we can see it lists the directories in a tree-like format. Okay, so quit. So now, let's see, where do we want to do tree? So if you look, I'm at root right now. So let's cd back to tilde again, which is our home, pwd. But I don't think that's a good place to do tree, but we can do, let's do tree on /userlocal. Okay. If you look here, I'm going to scroll up a little bit. it has user local, there's a bin, an Etsy, a games, has all this stuff, but then there's this shared directory. And the shared directory has these directories and, well, these files in this directory. And this directory has all of these files, so it shows it in a bit of a tree-like format. I find that sometimes that's handy to have, but not always, okay? You can also, so pwd, so here in my home user, I can type tree. I can also do tree dot to show the current one. Let's do this. Let's mkdir user local. Okay, so that's in our home directory. We just did that, pwd, and we have user local. Okay, so now we're going to use the copy command, and we're going to do -pr, preserve recursive, and we're going to do that directory that we saw earlier, user local, and we're going to do everything in there. We're going to put it in this new user local directory that we did, and we do dot to say here, put it here, and we're going to hit enter. Okay, so now I can do an ls user local, or I can do a tree my user local. So this is the stuff I just moved, okay? And you can see that I moved it, and it's the same as kind of it was in the /user/local, because I copied that all over recursively, okay? So let's see. Let's move user local to junk, okay? Because it is junk, it's just a copy. So now if I do an ls, user local's gone, but junk's there. If I tree junk, I can see it's the same as what I saw before, because it's just, I just moved it from one place to another, okay? Now I can try and remove junk, but it's a directory. I can try and remove the directory junk, but it's not empty. Boy, lots of stuff. So I can do a remove, recursive, and force. Just don't ask me, junk. So you got to be careful. One of the big issues that I had at one of my places is recovering from the perception that someone did this recursive remove in the wrong place and deleted the database, and the backups weren't that good. So that was not a fun time to come after that person. So recursive remove. So now if I do an ls-ltrah, which I've done before in my prior videos with you, I can see here's it, the junk's gone, the user local, the copy of that is gone. Okay. Let's also remove this, just so we keep things clean. Let's make another directory, testing. pwd, so I see I'm still in my home, ls cd testing, change directory to testing. I can also cd ... and then I'm back up a directory. So cd testing again, pwd. So look here, if I do ... it just goes up one directory. That's part of the being relative versus absolute. I can navigate from where I'm at, up a directory or going down. So let's see, I'm in testing. Let's mkdir -p, so create the parents. This is a test. So now if we do an ls, this. Okay, what if I do a tree? This is a test. Okay, cool. So let's mkdir, we're going to do these curly brackets. A, comma, B, comma, C, comma, D, comma, E, comma, F. Created A, B, C, D, E, F. What about mkdir 1 ... 500? Wow, that was a lot of of directories I just created with a single command. So you got to be careful, okay? So cd ... if I come up here and I now try a tree of testing, you can see I have a lot here. I mean, 500. That's, I'm not going to scroll up and down all this. So once again, let's do an rm-rf testing. Now I can do a tree again, and I'm back to empty ls-ltrah. Of course, I still have my hidden files and stuff, so pretty cool. I hope you've enjoyed today, and I'll keep recording these videos as long as you guys keep watching them. Thank you.